you geeks, and I'm back to the realm of Indian cinema. Some of you viewers have very kindly recommended that I watch a number of Indian historical dramas, or some action, and even some horror. But I've been through hell these past few weeks and really just needed something to fill the void that the MCU left when they decided to just stop making movies after Endgame or its epilogue, Spider-Man No Way Home. In that vein, I was just searching Netflix for a fun superhero romp and found Minnal Murali that promised to be the next great superhero film that I can root for an underdog going from zero to hero in no time flat. But what I got instead was a Christmas movie, which I was not expecting on so many levels. But now I can give you 10 reasons why Minnal Murali is unquestionably a Christmas movie. Full spoilers ahead, and I must apologize that my subtitles did not generate for the clips I'm using in this video, so I'm using the English dub. I'm sorry, but if I don't have subtitles in here, I can't edit the clips because...
You know, you're really cute, but I don't know what you're saying!
Full spoiler warning, and you should, if you were an English speaker, go and watch the whole movie in the original Malaysian with subtitles, because it is peak! Number 1. Christmas time is here. Minnal Murali begins on Christmas Eve. Literally, our will-be hero gets zapped with lightning that gives him his powers while wearing a Santa costume, caroling. Which is probably why Netflix kinda doesn't show this scene in its trailer that showed a lot of this movie. Looking back, I learned that it was actually released on Christmas Eve in 2021 on Netflix, but that's not how they're advertising it now. Netflix is kind of all in denial about the truth universally accepted, or at least in the US, begrudgingly acknowledged that any movie that is set during Christmas time must be a Christmas movie. Famously, It's a Wonderful Life, the now Christmas classic, wasn't meant to be a Christmas movie when it came out. Nor was Die Hard.
Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho.
By including Die Hard into what could constitute a Christmas film, Minnal Murali fits in so much better. Even their little joke about if the guy might possibly be a terrorist, though that was also a bit too soon for me. However, fighting terrorists, fighting crime, superheroes, these all, of course, are their own Christmas movie subgenre called number 2, I Want Superpowers for Christmas. Minnal Murali fits perfectly in with a superpowers for Christmas subgenre that was pioneered by the film Jingle All the Way, shot at my local mall. Jingle All the Way, like Minnal Murali, takes the crime-fighting Christmas special series like Die Hard and Home Alone and goes one step further by putting the crime fighter in spandex.
All that.
Well, who would know better than me?
Dad? Howard?
Right here.
But unlike Jingle All the Way, Minnal Murali begins on Christmas and goes after, making it more like the OG Holiday Inn or the Chronicles of Narnia or, The Lord of the Rings. If you don't believe that those last two series are Christmas movies, then you are completely entitled to your wrong opinion. This perspective is more fun for me because Jason, who got his superpowers for Christmas, now is actually training with them during the actual Christmas liturgical season, which is different from the Christmas consumer season, though there is some overlap. And Minnal Murali actually hits that overlap pretty well in the various plot threads it has all tied together. Number 3, all the cheese. Like any good holiday hot dish, Minnal Murali comes covered in a thick layer of gooey cheese. I mean, it literally begins with a deus ex machina, though technically it would be a sancto ex machina. And yet the film keeps it fresh by subverting the trope without dipping into cynicism. Somehow. For example, the hero of course needs a thing for the police chief's daughter, but this time...
You'd better stop chasing a girl who's engaged to someone else.
And of course, there is the small child dying of plot contrivance who is in need of an operation. This doesn't move the hero, however, it moves the villain.
He was telling me we shouldn't delay Kokomol's surgery.
But what can I do about it, brother? I wish I could do something to help you, but I don't have money either.
But don't worry, our hero is properly heroic since he has the tragic origin story with a heroic father like Superman.
Son, I wanted to tell you much earlier. It was selfishness that stopped me. I was very worried that you might get upset and stop calling me daddy.
Though, unlike Superman, Jason, after receiving his inspirational origin story, goes out and beats up a bunch of cops and the show's love interest. The subverting the fight with the love interest was a bit weird, but he does apologize for it later, and they weren't dating at the time. So it does fit in with all the other hallmarks of a great Christmas movie that Minnal Murali just nails. Not the least of which being, number 4, small town charm. Like any good Christmas movie, Minnal Murali begins with a character who really idealizes the fast-paced commercial industrial world, which for a Malaysian film is summed up in one word: America.
After marriage, Vinci and I will happily settle down in America. You see, tailors are in high demand there. Nobody knows stitching there, right? Everything's ready-made.
Right.
Just look at this guy. Like, Jason knows he's the coolest cat in town, but ooh, honey, those knockoffs just no. It's great. Thus, Jason is not so different from any Hallmark Specials business executive woman who is soon off to a small town to meet her flannel-wearing fiancé, or the OG himself, George Bailey from It's a Wonderful Life.
Mary, I know what I'm going to do tomorrow and the next day and next year and a year after that. I'm shaking the dust of this crummy little town off my feet and I'm going to see the world.
And Jason's village isn't so different from Bedford Falls, complete with corrupt cops.
Bert, the cop sent this over. He said to float away to Happy Land on the bubbles.
For my Indian viewers, this scene is set during Prohibition, so it's funny that the cops sent over the wine, which was illegal. George Bailey and Jason also have their business rivalries.
Under my watch and time, you aren't going to any damn place. I won't let you become anything. You were messing with the police, huh?
You used to be so cocky. You were going to go out and conquer the world. You once called me a warped, frustrated old man.
And both towns, though idealized, are both kind of terrifying in how incompetent the infrastructure is. Though, because it's all peopled by good country people, It's the lesson for George Bailey and Jason to learn that they have a wonderful life in their small town. Number 5.
All right, everyone, gird your loins.
Now, because Minnal Murali is set in Malaysia, not the USA, all the guys, instead of wearing flannel and blue jeans, are wearing a lungi?
Let me put on my pants.
No need to change, Uncle. We don't have time for it. Come on, hurry up.
Basically, these long wrap skirts thing that looks totally comfortable. I totally approve, and I am totally impressed by how these guys are constantly girding their loins up and down so they can go running and action fighting. And this movie is still, like, basically PG. It does sort of add a biblical feel to the fight scenes that we'll get more into later. Number 6. A good villain. Having a good villain isn't a requirement of a Christmas movie in the West. However, that Minnal Murali has one makes Minnal Murali a great Christmas movie. Like, I really liked Shibu when they introduced him to me, and then to see him also get struck by lightning, I just knew he was going to be the villain, but I just know his mother is dead. He likes Usha. He's just a victim of circumstance. And then the movie shows us that once he gets telekinesis and can control his circumstances, he still decides not to just talk to the woman. No, he has to be all creepy and instead just intimidate guys and then murder her brother.
I'm sure she loves me a lot. But she only does what you say. And I know that you'll never agree to what I desire.
All the time he's just wearing that creepy AF scarecrow mask, and to just put the exclamation point on the he's the villain trope, his world falls in flames. I will not play stars. I will not play stars. I will not play stars. Instead, I will make the supervillain connection that he's gone full Joker by the end of this movie.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Though by building up the supervillain, Minnal Murali, of course, must defeat him, as they do in Die Hard, or Jingle All the Way, or any great Christmas movie, with, number 7, the power of family. Minnal Murali, however, highlights the power of family a bit differently from the Western standard. Because in the MCU movies, like, the heroes kind of are mostly heroic already. Spider-Man lets one bad guy go, and then Uncle Ben dies. Captain America comes already willing to jump on the grenade.
Grenade! Get away!
By Jason's midpoint, the only thing he's willing to do is beat up the guys who beat up his dad, who just so happens to be the cops.
He had it coming. He had it coming.
Because the superhero genre of the West already gives a fair amount of focus to the father-son relationship, which I've seen is much more played up in Indian cinema, it doesn't surprise me that Jason gets not one, but 2 inspirational father speeches. Jason's adopted father gives him a speech very reminiscent of what Pa Kent gave Superman.
You should do what's always right. And for that to happen, you should be selfless. Your father was like that. So you too can do it.
And then in the finale, we get the iconic Uncle Ben speech coming from Jason's bio dad.
These are the years when a man changes into the man he's going to become the rest of his life. Just be careful who you change into.
Before he goes on stage to go save the world and die in fire.
At a time when it seems that everything is lost, people around you should look up to you with hope.
Without his family, it's clear that Jason would not have become the hero he needed to be by the end of the film. Even his fun sidekick nephew is instrumental in helping him on his journey. Meanwhile, Shibu, according to all tropes, has the psycho mommy issues, making him a psycho himself. Number 8. Action-packed. Really, is it even possible to have a Christmas movie without an epic action sequence? Arnold Schwarzenegger beats up the villain in Nicolette Mall. Kevin McAllister beats up the 2 thieves of his house. As Alan Rickman gets yeeted off the top of the building. And even Rudolph has to face the abominable snow monster dude. Yukon! Thus, Minnal Murali must end with an exquisite fight scene that I will now gush over in my last 3 points. I will start with applauding the writers for giving each crucial character their own moment in the finale. Bruce Lee, I love this name, gets to karate kick the rotting boards and douse the gunpowder in water, saving everyone from a possible explosion. The nephew gets to first do his peasant from Mask of Zorro impersonation. Like, I just love that Indian cinema seems to have taken all the right lessons from that movie, because Hollywood took all the wrong lessons from that movie. And then he gets that final payoff line from helping his uncle discover his superpowers. Then Jason tops them all by leveling up into Daredevil. Number 9. Better than Larry Boy? Move over, Matt Murdock and Nightcrawler. Minnal Murali is now my favorite Catholic superhero.
What does Minnal Murali do?
He rescues people when they're in distress. Minnal Murali.
Dad, is he God then?
No, he's not God. But where God is unable to reach, he surely does.
Or at least, that's my read on it. As this multi-layer, fluffy, action-packed, family-friendly superhero film also might just be the best Christian superhero movie I've ever seen. Although the film doesn't overtly state what the characters' religious preferences are, and prayer is only mentioned in jest.
Why weren't you answering the door? Huh?
Actually, I was praying, so I...
Really?
We also get a full-on Eucharistic procession complete with monstrance in the celebration of the Saint of Palikunu. We didn't even get that in the JB2 movie. Though the film is set in Malaysia, I did some Googling and found that there is a Palikunu, India, who doesn't have a saint. Yeah, I'm sure they're coming. But they do have a Catholic church that looks like this, and is called Our Lady of Lourdes, because that woman is stalking me. There's also an Anglican church for St. George, which also sort of better fits with the whole Roman gladiator style garb that the father has going on at the beginning. And may I just say that that is fine leather armor. Thus, there is somewhat subtle Christian imagery woven throughout that only gets to be blatant when Jason literally gets a cement cross to the face. But instead of dying and coming back like Aslan or whoever, he discovers his telekinetic powers, somewhat flying powers, and excellent use of a spear. According to Google, Minnal Murali literally translates in English as lightning flute, which makes the scene just perfect on so many levels. Seriously, like this, I've had the worst December, and this film just made it so much better. Thank you, Malaysia and India. Just thank you. Number 10. True meaning of Christmas. Why this film strikes me as so great is because it has so many layers that anyone can pretty much take what they need from this film. Do you want a fun-filled action-adventure superhero romp? Minnal Murali. Do you want a story about a small-town boy learning to appreciate the true value of family and friends and not those snobby Americans? Minnal Murali. Do you want a Christian superhero film that kills a villain who is not a recently repented atheist?
God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, rolling like a lie.
This film has it all. So no matter what you're celebrating, the coming of metaphysical light according to your faith tradition, or just the days getting longer in the Northern Hemisphere, this movie is for you. This is what I really want in a Christmas movie. I would want a movie that I could watch with my extended family in our variety of opinions, and yet all agree that the movie at the end of the day is great. So with that, I will wish you a Merry Christmas or a congenial 25th of December, regardless of what you're celebrating, and a Happy New Year.